Is it on? Are we going?
We're good, we're live.
We are on. All right. I will call tonight's BZA meeting to order at 6 PM. Mrs. Carpenter?
Here.
Mr. Cron? Mr. Gosnell?
Here.
Mr. Tieford?
Here.
Mr. Walling?
Here.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. So to advise the board of a legal point of order that's popped up, Chair Cron has advised our offices that he's unavoidably stuck in traffic and maybe 20 to 30 minutes late. That said, we do have a quorum, and the meeting is called to order by the Madam Clerk. So to be respectful of the applicant's time, the board's time, and the viewing public's time at home, I would suggest or advise the board to put a motion on the floor to nominate a pro tem presiding officer so that the meeting can proceed as scheduled in Mr. Cron's absence until or unless he may arrive. So any board member can nominate any other board member to preside.
Mr. Walling, I nominate Mr. Walling.
So we have a motion?
Second.
And a second? Okay. And all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mr. Walling, you are Chair Pro Tem. Take it away, sir.
Let's see, do we have a motion to excuse absent members?
Yes. Okay. Might need to move your mic a little closer.
Oh, yes. I make a motion to excuse.
A second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Absent members are excused. Do we have any additions or corrections to last meeting's agenda?
We did receive notice that case number BZA 24009, the applicant would like to continue that case due to illness to the January 2025 meeting. So that is a correction to the agenda.
The only other change I have is under roll call. I was absent, but I was here. We make a change on that, Kate? Madam Clerk?
Wait. On which, today?
The,
Oh,
yeah, for November
last meeting.
19th, under
Oh,
roll
present.
call, I was listed
Got
as
it.
absent when I was
yeah,
present.
I do see that. We can, yeah, to the minutes, you mean?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, do we approve the agenda already then?
Absolutely.
So we have to, yeah, so that's the next item that he's referring to.
Yeah, and then we'll do the minutes.
If there are no further corrections, we need a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve
With the corrections.
And-
with the
The
corrections.
amended agenda? Uh-huh. Amended agenda. So I have a first from Mr. Tieford and a second from
Second.
Mrs. Carpenter. All right. So those in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. And now the minutes with the correction of marking Mr. Welling as present versus absent. Thank you.
I'll make that motion.
He's supposed to make sure he gets credit for being here. I'll second it.
Okay. All right, hearing no other corrections, make a motion to approve it with, as corrected?
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, carried. Thank you.
Just a reminder before anybody moving to the podium to speak on public hearing items, adjust your microphone to speak directly into the microphone. This helps ensure that your voice is clearly heard by everyone and captures your testimony for the minutes. Any speaker will be testifying under oath, as this is a public hearing, and you must read the oath located at the podium. Those wishing to provide comments on one of the agenda items must complete a speaker form located in the back and submit it to the clerk in advance of the public hearing. All public comments, not including the parties that is city staff or the applicant, will be limited to 3 minutes. Public comments are not permitted after the public hearing is closed. So with that out of the way, we will begin. Public hearing item, BZA case number 24-003 in reference to 4001 Cozy Croft Drive.
Yes.
Oh,
No.
we're doing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
BZA 24.
I'm sorry, talking about last time's meeting. BZA case 24-0014, 2535 Forest Home Avenue. This is a request for a variance to allow a front yard fence to exceed the maximum height of 4 feet and a waiver to permit a solid board fence in the front yard. Ms. Holtz, will you please present the case accordingly?
Yes. I, Nia Holt, affirm that the testimony before the Board of Zoning Appeals is correct to the best of my knowledge. Address is 5200 Springfield Street, 45431. All right, as mentioned, this is the property at 2535 Forest Home Avenue. They are requesting a variance to allow a 6-foot fence in the front yard. This is a 2-foot increase, which is a 50% variance, but also a waiver because it is a solid board privacy fence. Our code allows for a fence that has at least 50% transparency. So that would be something like a picket fence or even a Kentucky board privacy fence that's in the front yard. Now, this is the subject site. It's outlined in blue. You can see it's made up of multiple parcels. There was once another fence here that was in compliance with the code. And when our code enforcement officers saw a fence outside of that going up, they did cite them in September of this year, and staff reached out after we received an application for them to come in and get that permit. They did review the permit and let them know what those deficiencies were, which required them to come in and get that variance from you and the waiver. So this is the site plan we received. There are another version of the site plan so you can see what sections are actually in the required front yard. The sections that are in red are what is in the front yard. And then we'll go on and see more of the area. So you can see another view. This is the front of the subject site. This is adjacent property across Forest Home. So you can see some of the other fences that are non-conforming because chain link fences are not permitted in the front yard, but they do have that transparency that the code does permit. Another fence that is in the front yard on Pleasant Valley. And this is a view of the subject site in that area that we're talking about where the variance and waiver is being requested. There's another view of that variance area, but this is from another angle. And this is seeing another section of Forest Home, so you can see what other corner lots look like. Again, you can see some do not have fences, some have more of those
I can't hear you as well.
Oh, sorry. Some do not have fences at all, or some have some of those non-conforming chain link fences. Again, some of the areas close to those corner lots that have those non-conforming fences, so you can see some of the character of the neighborhood. Now, I want to go back to the history of this site. You can see that fence that you saw in the aerial of the property over time. This is a picture from 2007. This is from 2015. You can see that same fence. This fence was compliant and did meet the standards of that time, and in the current code, it would meet the standards. So if a fence was placed in that location, it would meet the standards of the code. It would just only need a fence permit. So we do recommend denial of the variance for fence height. As you saw, there was a past fence on the property that did meet the standards of our code without needing a variance. So we do not believe a variance is required for this property because the previous fence was there that served the purpose for that property. And again, we are recommending denial for the variance because we do not need to grant variances or waivers for self-created hardships. There are, as I mentioned at the top of this presentation, other fence styles in the front yard that would be permitted, such as picket or Kentucky board fences. So these are your required actions, either to approve with conditions. You can deny requests, or if you need additional information from staff or the applicant, you can continue to a certain date. Are there any questions from staff? Oh, and there are two motions for the variance and for the waiver.
Now, can we go back to the original, I think it was the first picture of the home when it had the original fence?
Which one? This one?
Yes, and on the other side of the house as well. I think,
This
yeah,
one? Okay.
yes, yes. So if I'm to understand, the fence went all the way around and in front on that side, front, what we call the front yard, there where that yellow line is, and that, there was a fence there as well, right?
Talking about here?
Yes,
Okay.
better, much better. Okay, and what about underneath the trees?
Are you saying, are you asking?
Is there a fence? Yeah.
Okay.
Is there,
Is
or
fence
maybe
here?
if you can't answer it, maybe one of the owners can?
Yeah, the owners will be able to answer that a little
Okay,
better.
okay. Can you step up to the podium? Is it okay if he steps up? Are we doing that?
Is there any other questions from staff?
Oh, okay.
Nothing. Would you read the oath there at the podium, sir?
I, Brian Witten, at 2535 Forest Home Avenue, affirm that the testimony I'm about to give before the Board of Zoning Appeals is correct to the best of my knowledge.
Hi,
So-
Mr.
so
Witten.
Before, just for the record, the public hearing was opened at 6:12 PM.
I got that, thank you.
Okay. I always miss that step.
I got it.
We want to jump right into it all.
It's good to be eager, so, all right, it's all yours, Ms. Carpenter.
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, how are you?
Go ahead, Brian.
Good. Okay, so I see the trees there. Was there fencing on the side and in the side front underneath those trees?
Yeah, there was a chain link fence that come off, which would be the back of the house, run out to the street and down the side, which is out close to the street there, basically about where the yellow line actually is.
Okay, and where,
There was this white, the yellow line was the white 6-foot privacy vinyl fence that was there.
Okay, go back, yeah.
Here.
Okay. We're getting there. Okay, there we are.
The
Okay,
difference between, it looks a lot worse than it is, the difference between that yellow line and the red is about 4.5, 5, maybe 5 feet.
so where the red line is, that's the chain link?
No, the red line is the line, the picture of this fence that
The new fence that you put on?
that I had started, yes.
Okay.
From and that yellow actually ran all the way over to the chain link until they took a section out right before I bought it. I've lived at the address since August 2002.
Okay, I'm confused. I'm thinking that under that yellow line is the white vinyl fencing as well.
Yes.
It
Yeah.
is?
Yes.
Okay.
And I took that out when I started to put up the other fence.
Okay, that's fine.
So that's why it's not there now.
And then across where the house, where the fence meets the house, where you have now the wooden
Yeah.
fence,
Right.
there was vinyl there as well?
No, that section was part of chain link.
Oh, that section was part of the chain link.
It's like a
Okay.
16-foot section,
Okay.
18 feet that was chain link.
Okay, I got you.
And the vinyl fence ran up to it and met it.
Okay.
I have a question for Ms. Holt. The yellow line on this picture, doesn't that denote the required setback
Right.
for the fence at this time?
So that is what we're going off.
Okay.
Yeah, so, okay. So you're just.
I added about, that red area is about a 5-foot difference.
Oh,
But it's still.
From the setback area.
It was still about 29 feet off of the roadway,
okay. And we're not.
which I had
okay.
pictures to
That
show.
roadway's Forest Home, correct? That's
Huh?
Forest Home?
Yeah,
Okay.
because the door actually faces Pleasant Valley, and the house is on, so it's like a side yard and the backyard.
So right now, there's no, you took down the vinyl, there's no, it's just open, right? There's no.
Well, the chain link fence, which is falling in,
Right,
is
the
running
the
across
chain
there.
link, but if you was to,
Yeah, there would be no privacy in the backyard.
no. If you were to keep just replace that with the 4-foot, you would still be in compliance.
Replace
You took
the-
down the vinyl,
Yeah, the 6
and
foot.
then when you put up the wooden fence,
The vinyl fence was a solid, like, the
Right.
same as the board that I'm putting up.
and he was fine in compliance with that?
So if, our argument, if he was to put something like this back here, we would be fine if he was to replace just this section. Can you guys see that?
Yes, and isn't that what he's trying to do? But he
We're seeing
extended
for-
it.
Yes, the extension.
Yeah,
Is extension on where? Because it's,
I come out 5 foot farther than what it was,
okay, so
Okay.
what I guess what I'm asking then is,
but it's still 28
If
foot
that-
off the roadway.
if the solid yellow line is the old fence.
Right.
Have you already got the new wood fence up?
Not running down the
Not
whole
the- okay,
backyard,
so-
but coming off the
But
back
what you
of
have
the
marked
house.
here is where you're planning on putting the wood fence if you get the variance, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I just want to make, just kind of confusing just a little bit.
and that's not the issue. The
And it's
issue is
28
not
feet off of the
location
road,
of the
road,
fence,
back.
right?
So if this is, go back to
I have pictures here if anybody needed to see
all of this.
for better, because that's
Right.
not really a very
Okay.
good.
So
This site plan actually shows the 28 and a half feet to the road. Is that correct?
Yes.
So if the yellow is the proposed, where he had the fence? Okay,
So you're not doing anything on the back line at all?
No, it'll run, there's already a fence there.
Okay.
there's already a fence in the back. And it's not whether it's 5 feet out or where it was, it's about the height of the fence.
height,
The
height and
original
transparent.
vinyl
Height
fence was 6 foot.
Okay, and transparency. But you have a gazebo back there,
Yeah.
okay.
And when I had the white vinyl fence up, I didn't have people cut through my yard. I took it down and people will go and, the fence has fallen down, they jump over the fence and will cut across.
And
So that was
so,
part of the other reason.
so when you replace the fence, you're going to take down the.
Take down
the-
that
the
chain link fence.
Okay, yeah, it would look great, yeah, with the chain link. Just because I went to see it. No, I know what you mean.
What was the purpose of going with 8-foot fencing on the one end?
Because of the height of the deck and the house and the neighbors being on their deck and stuff, it just, a little more privacy.
Any other questions from staff or comments?
Like I said, I have pictures that I took yesterday that shows down the street, kind of like that, but actually street level, that if you needed to see them. And I also had letters here from, when I talked to my neighbors, that they didn't have a problem with it and things that I had brought. Because I had spoke to all my neighbors about it, and I wasn't trying to obstruct anybody's view or anything like that.
With 28 feet, there would be no obstruction. There's no way that
Right.
obstructs anybody's view.
Ms. Holt, what's the limit on privacy fences height-wise in Riverside?
So in the rear yard, which for a corner lot, rear would be back here, and then this would be considered side. It is 6, well, you can go up to 8 feet.
You can't go up to 8
You
feet?
can go up to
Okay.
8 feet. but not in the front yard.
Okay.
So the variance is really for 4.5 feet or 5 feet
Yes.
and the height? Or, but you're really not the height, right? Or is it?
The height.
Yes.
Because you want to go 4 foot down this one
And that the
side.
fence is
Yes,
not
the
transparent.
height.
I'm just trying to understand,
Yeah, the
okay.
height.
And then the transparency factor of the
That's
fence.
the waiver portion of it.
Yeah.
So, okay, so the back fence, the only, is it 8 foot or 6 foot? Hold on. Let me see. What is it?
He wants 8 foot.
He wants 8 foot. So the only 8-foot portion of your fence would be on that one side because the back fence is already there? Or how tall is that back fence?
That's 6 foot. It was it was the original vinyl fence, so it's 6 foot.
So it's 6 foot
And
Right.
it's staying, correct?
and it's
Yes.
staying. So you're going to have 6 feet and then 8 feet
Yeah, it comes back and it would come back and meet it
and then, okay.
at the back. It would run
I'm just
the whole
curious.
length.
And then the other side of the yard is, do you still have the vinyl? Is the vinyl still there around where the 52?
I had taken, there's 2 sections left. I had taken the other part down and replaced with the wooden fence.
Okay, with the wooden 8-foot fence?
Yes.
Okay. So the 8 feet
It went
are
in the
on-
same spot as the other fence and
Okay.
the chain link fence that was there down the side.
Okay.
Mr. Witten, is this your drawing here that's up on the monitor right now?
Yes.
So you're telling me that the yellow portion represents the proposed 8-foot tall privacy fence, correct?
Yes.
Okay, very good.
Okay.
And the house is in front of that.
Correct, correct.
Okay.
Where the open portion of the yellow is, yeah, that's the back of the house, understood.
Is it any intentions of raising that? You're just going to leave it like that, the back portion, right? The 6-foot portion of the back of the fence?
You know, I wasn't going to raise it because it's between me
Right.
and the neighbor, and,
Okay, okay.
but the post that I put in was, on the corner post was an 8-foot post to
Okay,
meet
I could-
and support it.
Okay. I couldn't remember if the posts were taller.
Yeah.
Yeah, they look tall, okay. Okay. That answers my questions I didn't know about.
Any other questions from staff before we proceed? We'll close public comments at this time. Is there any discussion amongst staff in regards to this for the variance to allow the 8-foot privacy fence outside the area? That's typical.
Now, did I understand it that he wants to put 8 foot along Forest Home also?
Yes.
Correct. Could you pull that one up with the green and the yellow
Yeah,
again,
now
Naya?
Forest Home as well, where that big red line is.
Yeah.
Where the yellow marks are,
The yellow line, no, the next, the one you just had,
the yellow lines are going to be.
one more back. There,
Yeah,
that
there you
one.
go.
Yeah, there you go.
That, the yellow, what you see there on your monitor is what he wants to make the 8-foot fence. He has installed some of it.
Now, mind you, there is a raised, there's a raised deck.
Deck on the back of the house.
Totally understood.
It's tall, yeah.
Like I said, I have these pictures that would be more clear.
So they can't accept anything outside before hearing a hearing.
No other questions? We have a motion regarding this case for the variance of the privacy fence.
I'll make a motion to reverse the staff's determination and allow it.
To clarify, is that for the variance for the height?
For the variance for the height, that's correct.
Okay.
Will that also affect the location, since we are going to be, some of the fence will be outside of the Riverside zoning allowance?
You can wait till there's a second and still have a discussion once the motion's on the floor.
Very good. So we have the motion.
I made a
You
motion.
made- Okay.
Is there a second?
I mean, I think we like to, I think we need to
Discuss a little bit. yeah.
discuss a little bit, chew it and kind of,
Do you want to withdraw your motion until there's more
Sure,
discussion?
absolutely.
okay.
I guess I'm kind of, 5 feet to me is like a non-issue. He's still
Right,
28
but
feet from the
Usually
road.
it's what, 6 feet, but 8 feet is allowed, so.
If they allow 8
Eight
feet.
8 feet is allowed.
8 feet is allowed, so.
Yeah. I don't think we're addressing the height of it because an 8-foot privacy fence is allowed. I think what we're addressing here
It's
is
an
a
8-foot.
variance to allow him to place that privacy fence
In the front yard.
outside the required locations from City of Riverside zoning.
From the 5 feet.
If he wants to
And-
place the 8 foot, it should be within. So
Correct.
that means if he moves it back, right? Am I correct on that? To the original setback, then he could have the 8 foot. If we, I could see having the 8 foot if he sets it back to the original.
For the 5 feet back.
Yes, yes. Then we're within the, I guess, backyard fencing situation, but it's not, it's a side yard, which then it's a,
Do you want to see that aerial for reference?
Yeah,
where that is?
Please, yes.
okay, so if he, oh, yeah, oh. So if he keeps the fence where it is, and he,
Still
and he
requires a
raises it,
variance to
and
do
he
that,
raises
correct?
it 2 more feet to the 8 foot, then he is within the backyard standard height or acceptable height for a fence.
Well, I'm confused because I thought if it was on the front yard, if that's considered a
But
front
that
yard.
is considered a
It has to
front
be
yard.
4 foot tall.
But it's kind of like, you give a little, you take a little. It's a, because we understand the situation with these front
Are we
side
looking at
yards.
two different things? Does it have to be does it have to be a variance for the 4 foot to 8 foot? And a variance for moving it? Or does it just have to be a variance for moving it?
So
I guess I'm kind of confused.
you guys have the authority, if you want to approve it with conditions, you guys can do that.
Right.
If you want to grant it for 8 feet, but you want to put it at this location.
My question, though,
This-
is today,
Yeah.
what we're here for
Mhm.
is there a variance for allowing it to go to 8 foot?
So
And then there's a
if he
variance
was
for moving
going
it?
to, as we saw in the plan, we have all of this.
Not, Ms. Holt, as it shows here
Yeah.
on our monitors, go back, please.
Yep.
To the, where we have the yellow? Yeah, that right there. Is this this drawing is what he made application for his fence?
Correct.
The location of the fence, was that okay according to Riverside zoning? The
No.
location?
No.
Okay. And also, so I would see that, number one, we have to approve the location first, and then approve the increase of height.
So in this location, right here, everything would have to be, well, not everything, sections here would have to be 4 feet.
Okay,
Sections
That was
here
my
would have to be
question.
4 feet.
okay,
This could be up to 8 feet.
correct. You happen to be privileged living on a corner lot where you have 2 front yards.
That's what,
I'm not so privileged.
he doesn't think so.
That being said,
Mm-hmm.
if there was damage here and you wanted to make some replacement, and you said, hey, I had a 6 foot here, I went to make some changes, and you wanted to do not go up to the 8 feet, staff could work with you and say you're gonna put it back like for like. But you would still have to get the permit to do so we can verify that that's what you're doing.
So the location of fence would fall under the permit process once we would say, yeah, you can do an 8-foot privacy fence,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, but if
Okay.
it's going to be 8 feet, then we're still
We
back to
still
this.
need the
Then
variance.
we're
You would
back to
still
the
need the
variance
variance.
with location.
Yeah.
If he
Yeah.
was keeping it at 6, we, right.
But 8 is what he wants, and so we're still back at that, we're still before you. So this is what you're considering, though. This is the application before you. But also recall, you have these options before you.
Right. We can approve with conditions.
If you need more information, he had additional data from his neighbors, he had pictures. You cannot accept that day of, but if you want time to review that information, there's another case that was postponed, or not postponed, continued, if you want to consider that information. That is also something that this body can do.
And I think that if we read
Is
major
there anything
variance.
else in the presentation you guys want to see before I?
Oh, okay. No, well, not for me. I don't know about for any of the other gentlemen.
My opinion, I think the 6-foot fence would be a lot better for the neighborhood, matching most of the other houses around there. That 8-foot just looks gaudy to me, and I just don't like the 8-foot fence look. So if he would like to put a 6-foot fence up, I would have no problem passing that part of it.
In the original place where the 6-foot vinyl was, correct?
No, he could move it out. He's got plenty of room. 27 foot to the side of Forest
28 and a
home,
half, 28 and a half.
28 and a half.
Yeah.
So he could move it out.
Well, once he moves it out, if he had it in place, 6-foot fence where it was, all he needs is a permit. If he does move it out, the extended 5 feet, he needs the variance.
So if he puts exactly where that
Right.
6-foot fence was before, exact same footprint, permit only.
Permit only.
If he puts it a 6-foot fence with the plan that was shown
Right.
today, the
Variance.
variance
And the
and
waiver.
waiver would be needed.
Okay.
But that would also be something that would be approved, the variance with modifications.
Well, I can understand why he wants to put his fence out. It gives him more backyard. So, and as much room as there is between the fence now that he has and Forest home, I don't see a problem with moving it and giving him a 6-foot fence.
I think from a legal standpoint, what you're talking about is a condition. So the variance would be approved with a condition that the height be reduced from 8 feet to 6 feet. Otherwise, your suggestion would be to grant the variance with the condition that the height be lowered from 8 feet to 6 feet.
That is correct.
Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Madam Clerk, could you read that
Well-
variance back before we vote?
Actually, I cannot, because don't we have the fact that we had a first, that he needed to
Exactly.
rescind that?
Okay, so we need a, okay.
I thought did you formally withdraw that
Yeah.
motion?
Yeah.
Okay, so you.
So that's
formally-
withdrawn, so that's good. So I think the motion, from a legal perspective, I would suggest the motion be to approve the variance with the condition that the height of the fence be reduced from the proposed 8 feet to the condition for approval at 6 feet. Otherwise, location as is.
Okay.
Did Ms. Carpenter, did you second that? Does that match with what
Lisa, did you second
your
that?
understanding was?
Okay,
You can still, the motion, you can discuss the
Yeah, we
motion
can
once it's
discuss
on
it.
the floor.
the only thing with extending it out 5 feet is it is on a corner, and I don't know about the visibility.
I did make a
And
visit.
I did too, but I don't
And,
remember.
and I drove around both ways, slowing down and taking a look. And as unique as many of the properties in Riverside are, this is definitely a unique property. I did not find any line of sight issues approaching that intersection. Of course, on the Pleasant Valley side, there's enough distance past that corner that you've got another 186 feet, or maybe not another 186 feet. You got considerable time to be able to view that intersection between Pleasant Valley and Forest Home. So I don't think line of sight
No, I don't
is
think
a
it's-
problem
I don't-
whatsoever.
It didn't look
Like I
like
said,
it.
I
Not a
drove
problem
it,
at all.
I went around, I backed up, I went back around the other way just to make sure that that line of sight.
Yeah,
was
the
not
line of
an
sight
issue.
looked
I
fine,
don't
that's what I was
think
talking
that's
about
an issue.
earlier. The line of sight's not effective.
Okay, well, I'll second that,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
All in favor?
I have to do a roll call.
Has to, and is there any further discussion too? Okay, if there's not, then I would suggest a roll call.
All right, Mr. Tieford,
Yes.
Mrs. Carpenter,
Yes.
Mr. Gosnell,
No.
Mr. Walling.
Yes.
Passed.
So that motion carried as to the variance with conditions that the height of the fence as proposed be reduced from 8 feet to 6 feet. So still before this board is the second matter, which is the design waiver, which derogates from the requirement that a 50% transparency is required in front yard lot fences. The request is for a solid board privacy, which staff's recommendation is denial because there are viable alternatives, Kentucky board, picket, and other compliant fences. So that matters before the board now for discussion.
I'm confused because I thought she said if they were replacing like versus like, there was no, because it had a 6-foot solid vinyl up there before.
That was in
It
that,
wasn't a 50%, is my point.
that was in that same area.
Right, the location has been
The location
moved.
has-
The location, yeah.
So for 5 feet.
Like being like means exactly.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Exactly like versus like.
Okay.
And I vote that we grant the waiver for the solid board, because it's.
Ms. Carpenter, you're making a motion to,
Oh, yes.
that's all right. We, okay, we have a motion to approve the fence to be a privacy fence. Do we have a second?
Second.
Roll call?
There's no further discussion?
No further discussion.
Okay. Mrs. Carpenter,
Approve.
is a yes?
Yes.
Mr. Tieford,
Yes.
Mr. Gosnell,
Yes.
Mr. Walling.
Yes.
Passed.
Very good.
So
Well
to
done.
summarize, he basically got
The,
the privacy?
From a legal standpoint, what the board voted on is to approve your variance request for the height with the condition that it be reduced from 8 feet to 6 feet in the location that's been proposed in your original site plan. The waiver for the privacy fence as opposed to a 50% transparency fence was approved. So city staff will get a determination out to you that encapsulates that decision and work with you on how to properly get the paperwork in place to comply with the conditions that were imposed by the board, as well as ensure that you have the resources available to make sure you know how to comply with the decision. Okay?
Very good. Any staff discussion topics in front of us?
Nope. I'll see you all in January, and happy holidays.
Yes.
Happy holidays.
I echo that.
Well, no further business. We'll close this meeting at 6:40 PM.
Well, yeah, I've got a question for the city before we do that. And I know you're redoing the ordinances and some of the variances. Are you guys going to work on the fence thing? Because everybody's going to get you on that 6-foot privacy fence. And for us to still be worried every time we face something like that with a chain link or whatever,
Yes, that is going to be covered.
okay.
Yep.
I just want to make sure about that.
Took my concerns right out of my mouth about that. That's absolutely, I mean,
That is something we have brought up to the consultant.
Yes, the city
As
has a.
Lisa's sitting on the board.
Yes.
Yes.
She's the BSA
Ms.
representative.
Carpenter knows, we have a consultant on board that's doing a lot of public engagement. They're very well-versed in zoning codes and rewriting zoning codes. They're engaging our community, they're engaging, as Ms. Carpenter sits on that steering committee, city staff, city council is involved. So it's a multi-phased approach to determine how to rewrite the code to best serve the fluidity of how our city's landscape is today. So that is one of the myriad issues that will be addressed, and the community input is going to be a huge factor in
Yeah,
that.
there will be community meetings. Oftentimes, we partner with Mad River Schools and use the preschool gym
Sure.
for those. So be on the lookout for those updates.
awesome. Very good.
Thank you. That's all I have.
Meeting adjourned. 6